Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Mordechai. Big Mazal tov to Bentzi Novak. The bris is tonight sometime. Or the Pinyan Ben. I don't know. It's one of those simchas. Something. It's a wedding. Look at him. He's all nervous. That it's not here. It's not in the Bava Basra. The wedding is somewhere else. Veislich nicht. V'day l'chakimus b'remizes. Rabbi Sai, check this out. No, be'emes. Big Mazal tov to Bentzi. I want to tell you something very interesting that happened with Bentzi. So, I might have mentioned this, or maybe I didn't, but at the Ufruf, I saw a kid collecting the candy, and I never saw a kid with such simcha in his life. Mamash, man, his smile. The problem is that he had so much candy, he couldn't collect more. So I told him, I said, listen, you give me the candy, and you can continue collecting. He looked at me for a second and gave me all his candy with full trust, and he went on. And then afterwards, he came to me, so I followed him to his father, and it turned out that his father is married to Bentzi's sister, the famous pilot, the Elal pilot. Okay, shine. So I'm sitting there, everything's good. All of a sudden, in the middle of davening, the older brother comes to me and he says, I want to give a donation to MDY. This is all the candy he collected. He put it in a bag, and he's giving a donation back to MDY. It's a mishpach of chesed, mamish, be'emes. So I don't know if I should give it out to you or to the Israeli. We could do 50-50. I have to give some to the Israelis also, because I told them the Maisa too. Unbelievable Maisa. Rabbi Isai here is our one and only Yossi Sounders. He's somewhere around the world. He's traveling the world. I saw him he came to Manchester and all that, but here he is in another special place.
Rabbi Eli, just wanted to do a special tribute to you for making Gemara accessible to people across the world by turning it into movies. To thank you, Yoshi, and all the staff. Good morning, Rabbi Sai.
With the Hollywood sign in the background. Yeah. You see it every day. Very interesting. These are Nugea. I'm just going to say a couple of emails. We had a lot of emails. Since I'm a resident of the state of Florida, he says, I thought you would appreciate this with regard to yesterday's daf. In law school, I recall that we discussed the case of Eden Rock versus the Fontainebleau. The Fontainebleau Hotel began constructing a 14-story addition to the hotel. Their adjoining neighbor, the Eden Rock Hotel, argued that when the new addition was to be completed, it would create a shadow over the cabana swimming pool and sunbathing area of the Eden Rock during the winter after 2 p.m. and would interfere with the light and air on the beachfront of the Eden Rock, making the beach and pool unusable. In 1959, Supreme Court of Florida held that the Eden Rock had no legal right to the free flow of light and air from the Fontainebleau's land, as the Fontainebleau was exercising its own property rights. Not surprising once you do the daf. Moshe Lachman, Cedarhurst, New York. There's Gevaldic stuff from the Israelis here. I've been meaning to introduce myself for the longest time. When I started the show, I was the guy who would skip the email sponsors, etc. You hear this, Mendy? And listen to the daf at a faster speed. I've come to enjoy those emails, the jokes, and chizuk sets the tone for this year. I join Yeshir daily during Gitin when it became impossible to learn using devices since I have severe MS. I started the daf at the beginning of the cycle, which was great for when the world shut down during COVID. One of the reasons I was motivated to join the daf was that my chavrusa and I are finishing brachas at the time. My chavrusa is Shmuel Weiss, father of the Kal Rivka Weiss, engaged to Lipig Estetner. Shmuel and I started learning. It's almost 28 years later. We learn every week after Shabbos 20 minutes. Brachas took around 8 years. It shows what can be accomplished in 20 minutes. Wishing my MDY family a good summer. Avi Spiro. And this is unbelievable. I don't know. I hope this is not Lashon Hara. Somebody sent me this picture. I think it's 2 houses in Borough Park. The house on the left, the 2-story house, is built first. The house on the right legally built their house. By doing so, blocked all the windows on the house that's only 2 stories. But you can see that he built it on the house, and that's how the houses are built over there. The guy on the left, the two-story house, was so upset that he blocked his windows that he went ahead and built a wall for no reason on top of his house to block the windows of the other guy. You see that wall on the left? That's built stam to block the windows of the guy on the right. I don't know. I'm not so happy about that. Rabbi Isai, yeah, Mashiach is going to come quicker because of that. The Masechta for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas achodesh linishmas zechaya b'moishe linishmas chaya bas Yosef. Parnas achodesh lirfua Shlema Naftalli Herz ben Henya Leah, a hidden tzadik in our generation. I hope the guy that sent it to me is not the guy that it happened to. You know, like, oh, we got it on. Okay. He's got a skyline on the roof there. Parnas achodesh lirfua hanefesh and guf for Breina Bina bat Miriam. No, in other words, the guy was saying, listen. You did whatever you're allowed to do by the law. I'm also going by the law. I'm allowed to build a stama wall here. For that Evish and go for Breina Bina bat Mir and Bela Natan al Kalav Ben or a bracha bat Breina Bina. Paras Chodesh Moe Landy Lili Nishmas. The Rav of Emunas Yisrael, the Mashgiach, R Moshe ben Shmuel Yehuda, the Mashgiach of Torah V'das. I noticed that he was also on the cover of Ami magazine. Paras Chodesh Ahron Fraiman L'schus. No, I said he was on the Mishpacha, cover of Mishpacha. I noticed today that, or yesterday, last night. Ahron Fraiman l'schus to rebellion for continuing siyat d'shmai and teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas Shavua Lili Nishmas Rus Bas Shraga Fivish Mrs. Ruth Steenberg from Manchester, Niftero this Friday. Parnas Ayoy Mordechai Sapoznick, he's back. Rabbi say. L'zeich Nishmas Bubby Teitz Moras Aidel Gitel Bas Horav Boruch Dovid zechrono levracha. She was an example of what MDY is. She loved every type of Jew. May Neshama have an aliyah. May she be the Meilad Tzir for the entire Mishpacha, all of Kew Garden Hills, Queens, and all of Klal Yisroel. Parnas Hayoim, Lila Nishmas, Liba Bas Reuven Halevi, Mrs. Libby Lobel on her second yard side, was personified by her Ein Toiv, Leiv Toiv, and Simchas Chaim, was beloved by all Nur, by her nephew Peretz Chaim Levin. Rabbi Isai, we're exactly where we want to be. We're preparing for Cheskes Habatim, and don't worry, by then we will be able to catch up. We're holding by the Mishnah Daf Zayin Amud Beis. Koifin oisoi, livnois, beis shar v'dels l'chotzer. Here's a beis shar. Yeah, there's a door, and you live in some sort of mavoi, in some sort of multiple family situation. So the people, the other residents, could force you to pay for this structure, which allows for privacy. People that walk by cannot look into the open door. Videles, the chotzer, the door of the chotzer. In the Gemara, in a minute, we're going to see what he means by this. Not every time is there a beishar that you can force a person to pay for it. This is a unique design that our artists put together. You can see over here the piece of wood that holds the doors tight. There's a little bit of a lock situation there. Okay. So all these things that are there for protection, you can force people to participate in. Where's our helper isn't here? I haven't seen him in a while. Months? I thought I saw him. Yeah. What's with Michael Harbader? I heard he had a shtickle surgery. No, in addition to his heart. Refuat Shlema, yeah. Refuat Shlema, where is he? He'll be back soon, Bezer Hashem. Had another one on his ankle, I think, or something. Okay. Refuat Shlema Michael. No, I'm looking for, because we have over here Zechariah Manulan. You know Zechariah? So he came to put in a lock. I'm just thinking, he put one of those code things in my house. And as he's doing it, I do what I do. You know, it's my job. I go over and says, do you learn? What's a Daf Yomi? By the time he was done, he said, okay, I'll try it out. And he hasn't missed a day in 5 months, probably. 5 months. Not only that, he gives out these things that, smell up your car. The car refreshener. So on one side it says Zechariah Manulan, now it says the other. Both sides it says Zechariah Manulan, now it says MDY on one side. Yeah. All right, Zok the Gemara. Mishnah still. Look how Yoris Ruiz L'chayma. Not every city has a wall. As we're going to see, cities that are in the middle of a country, they don't need a wall. No halacha. How long does it take for you to become a resident of a city? Yud Beis Chodesh takes 12 months. We're going to see, for certain things, 12 months. For certain things, it's less, 30 days. But if you purchase an apartment there, a house, then you become like a resident immediately. I wonder if people use this Mishnah, just thinking out loud, if they use that for, doing one day yontif. I bought an apartment in Eretz Yisrael, now I'm like a Eretz Yisrael dicker. L'meimer the Beis Shar Mal Yusi. So it says here, I can force people from the Chatzar to participate in this Beis Shar. So, in other words, it's something that's necessary. There was a chassid that Eliyahu Hanavi would talk to him all the time of at Beis Shar. He made this Beis Shar b'sula mishtoy badei. Eliyahu Hanavi stopped talking to him. Why? Because it's difficult for the aniyim to reach you now. You put another wall over there that's hard for you to hear the ani. So you see from over here, it's not a good thing to keep the aniyim out like that. So I got to say this ma'isa that Rabbi Elimelech Goldberg said at the English-speaking Siyum. A lot of you were there, the people here in the room, but people outside might not have heard it, so I got to say it. I said it once before, but it's Gevaldik ma'isa where this individual, Elimelech, he could correct me if I mess up, there's different nuschais. I'll say the nusach I heard from you, which I thought, and of course it's gonna, with a little bit of embellishment and a little bit of. There was a person who really wanted to see Eliyahu Hanavi. One gila, so he goes to the Baal Shem Tov, he says, Rebbe, I need to see Eliyahu Hanavi. So the Baal Shem Tov says, you want to see Eliyahu Hanavi? I'll tell you exactly what to do. On Rosh Hashanah, you have to spend 2 days. There's an almana who lives in that village. You go 3 blocks that way, make a right, and then you'll see a house that looks like that. Knock on the door over there. You'll see Eliyahu Hanavi. So he tells his wife, and this and that. I don't know exactly the whole details with Yichud, not Yichud. Maybe he brought his wife with him. I don't know exactly what happened. He packs his bags, goes for Rosh Hashanah, knocks on the door. And Almana opens up. He says, listen, Baal Shem Tov told me, I need to be here for Yontif. She says, come in. And this person is waiting for Eliyahu Hanavi. He can't go to sleep because if he goes to sleep at night, he might miss Eliyahu Hanavi. So he waits up all night, 2 nights straight. He's there, waiting for Eliyahu Hanavi. Of course, Eliyahu Hanavi didn't show up. He's very disappointed. He goes to the Baal Shem Tov. He says, Baal Shem, I was there, and Eliyahu Hanavi didn't come. Baal Shem Tov says, you know what? You have to go back for Yom Kippur. So he goes back for Yom Kippur, and he's about to knock on the door, and he hears the Yosim telling the Almana. He says, how is it going to be Yom Kippur for me? I fast every day. There's nothing to eat. So how is Yom Kippur going to be different this year? So the mother tells him, maybe Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come like Eliyahu Hanavi came on Rosh Hashanah, with the food and all the stuff. So the guy chapped that he himself is Eliyahu Hanavi. In other words, that each person has the potential to be that Eliyahu Hanavi, to give. You have to look within yourself. You have to be your own Eliyahu Hanavi. It's a Moed Gezach. That's what the Baal Shem Tov meant. Stop looking for the other Eliyahu Hanavi. You yourself, you have potential. Look within inside. Says the Gemara, Loi Kashio. Oh, so now the Gemara is going to say a few distinctions. When could you make a Beis Shar, when not? Loi Kashio, Home Gavoy, Home Baroi. I just did my own little, because I get confused. I'm an American. What's the difference between Gavoy and Baroi? Which one is inside, which one is outside? I figured a bar is outside. A bar is. This is my little thing. Gaiva comes from within. Home Gavoy, Home Baroi. So, if this Beis Shar is inside, pretend that this picture right over here is inside his chatzar. So now there's a double wall. The guy standing outside knocking on the green door. Here, if we go like this, let's say. There's one green door outside knocking. And then there's another buffer, so you can't even hear him. There's another wall. That's terrible. But if it's on the outside, so the guy opens up the green door, he walks into that Beis Shar and knocks, so there's only one door difference. The both outside bar, outside. One has a door, one doesn't have a door. So if it doesn't have a door, it's not a problem. The Isle does have a door. You can open it. The big arichos here. They both have a door. They both have a lock. When it has a lock, but who can open it? The guy from the inside can open it. Okay, so therefore the ani is still stuck outside. Bekitzer, I asked yesterday about an intercom system. Putting an intercom system, Nachman said it sounds like a problem. It is a problem. Halachically, it could be a problem to keep out, if you're doing it deliberately, to keep out the aniyim. It's problematic. If you talk to Eliyahu, he might stop talking to you. You have to be careful. We learned in the Mishnah, not every chatzar do you put up this beis shar. Beautiful. We have over here. This is how it's set up throughout Shas. In the time of the Gemara, they had houses. You could see more like the ones on top. 2 houses into one green chatzar. And then there's other houses over here. It's not depicted perfectly. It's more like one door. Fine, but the point is a bunch of people lived in these houses that opened up into the green grass. That's a chatzar. And do you need an Erev there, the whole thing? Then those green grasses opened up into a mavui. The gray is called a mavui, like a street. The mavui goes into the Rishus Harabim. So the houses that are close to the Rishus Harabim, to the black asphalt, they require a beis shar. You see, 2 out of the 4 doors have that beis shar. Why? Because they're close to the Rishus Harabim. People could peek in there. But the guys that live all the way at the end, over here, these doors, they don't need it. So why do Rabbanan argue that every single door needs? Imagine there's a levaya or something going by over there. So many people get pushed into the mavui and they come all the way up to the back doors over there. And they'll start looking into the chatzar. So every single person has to build. I could force every resident over there to build a beis shar. The island of us, and they come in there. You can force them to build a wall. Rabbi say, don't get nervous. There's a lot of agad all the way to the end of the parak. Not the parak. There's 1 or 2 daf in the middle, not, but it's just a bunch of agad until Yachba. It just takes a long time to read agad. So, back to this door here. We'll take another set of doors. I can make you make the double doors, the lock system. Not every city needs a wall. I was thinking like Bet Shemesh doesn't really need a wall, but Bet Shemesh does have a wall. They found the old wall here, no? Machlokes, if it's party, if this, it's okay. If it's not by the border, it doesn't need a wall. And what do Rabbanan say? So you have to protect every city. You never know how deep the enemy comes in there. So question is, think about it for a second. Let's think about outside. You have a mishpacha, guy's in Kailo, he has 13 children. How much does he have to participate in the wall? Does he have to pay for his 13 children plus him and his wife? That's 15 souls. So does he have to pay 15 souls? And the millionaire, gazillionaire, he has 1 child and a dog, so he only has to pay for 3 souls? Or no, it goes by money. So you have to know what the enemy wants. If the enemy is coming for money, so then the wealthy guy has to pay much more. If he's coming to kill people, then the Kyle guy has to pay more. Does it go by the souls in the house, or does it go by how much money is worth? It goes by the money. And my son, Elazar, he put in nails, he made this a real halacha. Reb Reuven Magalis says, Yerushalmi Chagiga, Per Gimel says, that the Chacham want to know if the halacha is like them, so they took a nail, and they pushed the nail with their hand into a stone. And that proved to them that they were saying it was like mamish, like dough, pushing a nail into dough, and they call it Selah HaMasmeros. So you're saying the same thing, look, this is such a perfect halacha that you could take a nail and push it in with your hand into a stone. Another question, the question was different. When they collect, do they do it by how close the house is to the wall, to the border? Or do we collect based on how much money they're worth. Now we look at what happened. The people that were by the border, they were the ones that were murdered. But over there, they weren't there for money. They were there for murder. So it depends what the enemy is. Bloodthirsty people or money thirsty. It goes by how close the house is to the border. It goes by the not by the people, but by the distance to the border. Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, Rama Deshura the Rabbanon. So back to the famous chart, but it's added. There's 2 additions today. The big Yichos over Hillel, Reb Shimon Gamliel, and all the way in the bottom, 3 from the bottom, is the famous Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi. His son was Rabbi Gamliel, and his grandson was Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya, not Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, but Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya. He wasn't a Tana anymore. So he put a tax on the Rabbanon. Rama Deshur the Rabbanon. Omer Shlakish, we had this Gemara back in the day, and it's Mamish in Yonah the Yoima, the big controversy in Eretz Yisrael. Do Yeshiva Bachrim have to go to the army or not? So a little bit negea to this sugya. Omer Shlakish, Rabbanon leitzricha netirusa. A Talmud Chacham doesn't need to be watched. He doesn't need a wall. He doesn't need an army. Now, you could argue, what is a Talmud Chacham? Is it somebody studying to be a Talmud Chacham? It's an actual Talmud Chacham. D'chsiv esprei mechol yirbun. I will count them. They're more than the sand. Esprei lamam. Who is he counting? Ilaim letzadikin the nefesh mechala. They're more than sand. Can't be. Hashakul Yisrael ksibu. All of Klal Yisrael put together. They're like the sand on the shore of the beach. Tzadikim azim mechol yirbun. All of Klal Yisrael is barely like the sand. So how could the tzadikim, which are a fraction of Klal Yisrael, they'll be as much as the sand? It means to say, their mitzvahs are so much, mechol yirbon, they're more than the sand. The small amount of sand on the shore, on the beach. It protects the residents from the ocean. Certainly, the actions of the tzadikim protect them, and they don't need a wall. We're going to see this concept over and over. Tzadikim don't need shmira. Why don't you use this pasuk? Isn't this better? It says in Shir Hashirim, the famous pasuk, Ani chayma v'shadai kimigdalos. Ani chayma, I'm the wall. Zu torah. Torah is the protector, the wall. V'shadai kimigdalos. Elu tamid chacham nurse the Torah. So, if we go like Rava, then we have a little bit of a problem. Not a problem, we have an answer. The reason why he didn't use this pasuk Ani chayma v'shadai kimigdalos is because he doesn't learn it like you. He learns it slightly different. Ani chayma zu Knesset Yisrael. Who's protecting Klal Yisrael? Knesset Yisrael. V'shadai kimigdalos. My chest is like the towers. Elu batek nisiyos batem midrashos. These are the shuls and the batem medrash that people come to learn Torah in. People come to daven. That's what protects Klal Yisrael. So it's not the Talmidei Chachamim are protecting themselves. The Torah is protecting the Talmidei Chachamim. It's the shuls and the batem midrashos that are protecting Klal Yisrael. So he needs to come on to another pasuk of Mechol Yirbun that protects the Talmidei Chachamim. What?
Protecting them from being connected to the way.
That's later. Connected to the Goyim.
That's what Rashi said.
What do you see?
Second Rashi. Getting mixed up with it.
Yeah, okay. Zog the Gemara. Rav Nachman bar Rav Chizdo Rama Kroga Rabbanon. Rav Nachman put a tax on the Rabbanon. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok. How can you put a tax on Talmidei Chacham? So we're not talking so much about the Shmira now, we're talking about taxes. Do you tax a Talmid Chacham? So I'll bring you 3 sources that you're wrong, and that's it. The Gemara leaves it at that he was wrong. Even when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is chayvev, he loves the nation, so to speak, but the tzadikim are going to be in your hand. So Moshe said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even when you show Kaviyachal that you love the nations, Kol Kadosh of you biyodecha, the Kedoshim, the Holy One should be in your hands. What does that mean? Tani Rav Yosef, Elu Tamid Chachamim, shemechatetim ragleihem me'ir le'ir u'memedina le'medina. The Talmid Chacham go very long distances. They go from city to city, from country to country. Lil Moy Torah, we saw many times that Talmidei Chacham used to go for a year straight minimum. They would come home every Yom Kippur. A lot of people would come back once a year. Even before the war, people would go for many years. Rav Shach, I think, saw his mother one time from the age of 12 to 41. He saw her one time. People would go and not come back. It was like the distance was so great. Rav Eliezer Pilz, when he was being maspid, my Rebbe, Rav Michal Yehuda Lefkovich, here in Ramat Shemesh, he said that the nisayon of that door was tremendous. That you had to go, say goodbye to your parents, and maybe never see them again, and travel and schlep, and it would be days and days until a bacher would come to yeshiva, and it was almost impossible to get back. He said, but in our generation, a bacher gets on an air-conditioned bus, and half hour later, he's there in the yeshiva, air-conditioned room, the whole thing. He says, no. But the nisayon of today might be even greater than the nisayon then, with the devices that Bachrim have today, and what they can bring into the dorm room, and to stop that, and to be misgaber on yourself, and not go through all that, what all the Bachrim are going through today, that might be even a greater nisayon that they had in those days. Every dar in their nisayon. And he said that there was, he spoke about the teg, the famous teg thing, that Bachrim, they didn't have money, so the community would give them yomim, teg, call it whatever you want, but you get a meal over here, a meal over there. And the famous Maisa where he said this in the thing, the Rosh Yeshiva, a guy comes to the Rosh Yeshiva, brand new Bachar, the Rosh Yeshiva says, you're going to get teg. Sunday you're going to eat by him, Monday you're going to eat by that family, and Wednesday you're going to eat over there. And the Bachar says, Rosh Yeshiva, what about Tuesday? He said, did you come here to eat or to learn? Zemes, that's what it was. People would starve then. It was nishpashet. All right, Zok the Gemara. Yisa midabri. What does that mean? Lisa v'litel b'diburois b'dirusav shel makayim. It's the back and forth of the Gemara, the back and forth of Torah, which is interesting. We don't really speak about it a lot, but mentioned a few times that the Gemara is unique, that you see the back and forth of the Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachal. This is a conversation in the Rebbeinu Shalom's head, the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, thinks. That's what Gemara is. It's not a halacha psuka. Here, this is what you have to do. But how did HaKadosh Baruch Hu get to that point? That's what Gemara is a lot. It's a back and a forth. And that's what you see in Yisa Medabri Secha, that the Talmidei Chachamim do the masu matan, the give and take, the back and forth of the Gemara. Another very interesting nekuda is that if you notice, Rosh Yeshivas, a lot of Rosh Yeshivas have to go around the world to collect money. The Lahavdil, the universities, they're sitting on billions of dollars, literally. You know, like, oh, Yale and this, $20 billion invested here, invested there, divest from Israel, not divest, but they have tons of money. They're not going anywhere. So the Panovich Rav said once, I think it was him, he said that the reason is because Klal Yisroel needs the Rosh Yeshivas in America and France to give a Shal Shulis Drasha, to give a speech, that the Olam should see what Rosh Yeshiva is. So Kadosh Baruch Hu made them go around the world. That's what he said. Okay. I'm just thinking here, Medina Medina, Mekatim, Ragleim, Meir Leir. Ad Navi is also over by giving taxes. The Damilcham is over on the Navi and the Chsiv. Gam ki yitnu ba'goyim ata kapsim. Even here, this is more like the Rosh Kodesh was saying before. Even if you'll mix into the goyim, ata kapsim. Now I'll collect you, v'yochelu ma'at mimasam melech v'sarim, and you won't have to a little bit less from what the king is giving you in terms of taxes. It's not in Lashon Kodesh. This is in Aramaic. Itanikulu. If everybody would learn Torah, boisai, ato akaptim. I will redeem you right now. Now, you're all thinking, if everybody learns Torah, how many millions of Jews are there in the world now? 15 million. So do you need 15 million Jews to learn Torah? That's almost impossible, the way we know it today. So Rashi saves us, and Rashi says, Roiv. All you need is 7.5 million. It's a lot. But imagine if there was 7.49999, and you're that guy that called up the guy to join the Daf Yomi. So you brought Mashiach. You brought Mashiach. So I told this to my chavrusa as we're learning this Rashi, and I kid you not, the bells were standing right over here pulling out a sefer. I should have shown it in a video. Pulling out a sefer. So he heard me saying it. He says, "You have a Schattenstein? Open up the Schattenstein, and you'll see the bells of Rav's haskama." So I did. I have it here for you. This is haskama. It has it probably in every art. I know in the Hebrew one. And he says, learning Torah will bring Mashiach. Bava Basra Daf Ches. Ala Kosov. Gam ki'iznu agoyim ata kasim v'yechlu me'at mi'masam el b'sarim. Itanu kula, open up your Gemara. See if it's in there, Mendy. And who has an English one? See if it's in the English one. I got this from the Hebrew one. Ata kasim v'ma'at mehem. And he says, v'uberashi v'chein ruban. He was just walking by. He says, he just throws it out. Look in the Belz Ruv, because he's a Belz, obviously. He knows what the Belz Ruv said. Yeah, he brought the Rashi, he just said. Shkoyach, next. He kept on walking. He didn't even open it up. Okay. Have a wonderful day. It says the Gemara, Ata kaptim. V'ma'at mehem, yochelu mimaso melech v'sarim. And if only some of them learn Torah, but those people are learning Torah, they won't have to pay taxes. So you were over on this pasuk by making the Talmid Chacham pay taxes. Adik Suve, it says in the Ksub, Nechsiv, Minda v'loi v'halach. That's why I have, for this pasuk alone, that's why I have Nekudis in my Gemara. I would never be able to read these words. I would read it completely different. Minda v'loi v'halach loy shalit lemirmei alehoim. B'amar Rav Yehuda, Minda zu menas hamelech. That's taxes from the king. Beloi zu ksav gugolta. Every head has to pay. V'halach zu arnoina says Rashi, is 10% that you have to give to the king. You have to give meiser. 10% of your wheat, 10% of your animals. Rapapa, but Kitzer, you did the wrong thing by giving taxes to the Talmid Chacham. Rapapa, says the Gemara. Rabbi Kari Chadato Ayasme, he made the Yisraelim pay for the new well. Very interesting. What if you don't find water? If you find water, great. But if you don't find water, you just took money from the Yisraelim and they can't be moichel you. First, I'm going to take money from them. If we find water, great. Then I'll give back the money. Amar Rav Yehuda, Hakol, the whole city has to pay le'egle gofa for the doors of the city. Afilu miyasme, afilu from Yisrael. Rabbanon, letzricha netirusa. A Talmid Chacham doesn't need to be watched by doors. He doesn't pay. Hakol lekari pasu, but everybody has to pay for the well. Afilu mirabbanon, even Rabbanon. That's only when they don't go out together to dig the well. You pay a company. But if you yourself are digging the well, like this picture right over here, I love this. Sometimes the labor is less than, like a big tractor. So even the tractor is a shtickle shvach. So you do it like this. Givaldik. It's a passage for Rav to go out and dig like that, so he doesn't have to do it. Says Gemara, Rebbe, there's a big famine, and Rebbe, who's very wealthy also, but I don't know if this has to do with that, he had the storehouses of food. Omar Yikansu, but I'm only feeding Bali Mikra, those who learn Chumash, Bali Mishnah, Bali Talmud, those who learn Gemara, Bali Halacha, those who learn the Braisa, Bali Haggadah. Today we're learning Haggadah and Halacha and Talmud. And a little bit of Mikra. And Mishnah, we started with the Mishnah. Yeah, we're doing all of it. If you're Nam Haaretz, you cannot get food. Dochak, Rabbi Yonasan ben Amram, v'nichnas, he mistarev, he dressed up a little bit like Am Haaretz and tried to get food as an Am Haaretz. Omar Loi, he's a Talmud Chacham, he was a Talmud. Rebbe, Parnaseini, he pretended he's somebody else, give me some food. Omar Loi, Bini, Karisa. Omar Loi, Lav. Did you learn Chumash? No. Shonisa. So over here we have a riot to Yeshiva Bachram L'chaira. How's it shaykh? You didn't learn Chumash? So that's it, done. End of the questions. What are you asking me afterwards? Do you learn Gemara? From here you see that there are people that learn Gemara before they learn Chumash. Unbelievable. Amalei. Lav, I didn't do any of this. So why should I give you food? I made a rule. Amalei parnaseini kelev v'cha'irev. Give me food like a dog and like a raven. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has Rachmanas on them. You should also have Rachmanas on me. Parnasei, so he gave him food. Says Rashi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has special rachmanis for a dog who sometimes goes 3 days without eating. Special rachmanis for a raven. Taisa says over here that it says Noisin lebehema lachma, behema is 52, so is Kelev 52, and you know what else is 52? Eliyahu, my name. Kekelev chebehema. So we have a cute little video here, but it was even a dog gets because Baruch Hu's mefarnes the dog. I don't know why he chopped off the end. I thought that was the best part. Every night, the subway employees feed the stray dog. Never. No, because it's lakelef tashluchen oisai. Mom is feeding him nevela from Subway. No.
So she's back today. I got her some chicken. She's kind of messy though. And some turkey, like that vet lady said. If we're too late to give her food, she'll just go across the street to Taco Bell.
That's the best part. All right. The Shabina Rav says, I'll say it real quick because we're in a deficit here. Kikelev Ka'erev, we all know about the dog, the Erev also with the Eliyahu, but why do we give food to the dog? Why? Because the dog in Mitzrayim didn't bark. But not this dog here in 2024 in Tavshin Pei Daled, but his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather. So he says, Parnaseni, maybe my great-grandfather was a Talmud Chacham. If you mefarnes me, if you mefarnes the dog on this, that's what Shabina Rav. Shabina Rav was the Golad Dor, yeah? So the Gemara. Basa the Novak, Yosef Rebbe comes tired. Vamar. Rebbe sat down and thought about what just happened. He says, Oili shinosati piti la'amaris. How could I give this Amaris food? I can't believe I did that. The Ben Yehuda goes on to say that maybe he was upset that he didn't wash his hands, didn't say bracha. All different people, the different things. How could he be mitzvah such a thing? He's mitzvah. It was on the cheshbon of Tamid Chacham later on the fun of Reb Shimon Bar Rebbe. So son, Reb Shimon says, Shema Yonis ben Amr Tamid Chahu. He didn't know. He said, but who could pretend like that? Bentzi, with all the work you do through the night, and with the chasana and everything, still come here, givaldik. Chizuk. Maybe it's your Talmud that didn't want to benefit from Torah. Didn't want to take food because he's a Talmud Chacham. And in fact, they checked out and they found it was in him. Omer Rebbe, if that's the case, who knows how many other Amar Aretz are not really Amar Aretz. Yikonsu Akol, I'm giving food to everybody. Says the Gemara, why was Rebbe so against the Amar Aretz? Rebbe Tameh. The bad things happen in this world because of the Amar Aretz. Kahu, Demei Kalila, like the crown. It seems like every new king would get a new crown, and they said, who has to pay for the crown? The Shadar Tveri. The people from Tveri have to pay the Caesar's crown. Also, the Kamei, the Rebbe Vamrulei, Litvar Rabbanim Badan. So the people from the city said, listen, now this is serious. The crown jewels, it's very expensive. We need you, Tamid Chachamim, in the Kailol, to be Mishtatif. Omar Lu Loi, I'm not helping you out. Omrulei Arkinon, you know what? We're going to make a protest. We're going to leave the city. It's going to fall all on you, Tamid Chachamim. Omar Lu Aroiku, go, leave. Arku Palgeon. Here we have even a picture. Half of them left. They left the Kinneret, they left. Dalyu Palgo. So the king said, there's half the people. You know what? All you need to put up is half the crown. In other words, it didn't hurt Rebbe at all. Also, Hanu Palgo Kamei the Rebbe. So now the second half comes to Rebbe. You should all be Mishtadav Amrlu. Loi, no way. Arkino, we're going to leave. Aroiku, leave. Arku Kulu, so everybody left. Pasha Ukoivis. That launderer. So when we were learning it last night, I said that koivis, it just sounds so familiar. That koivis always gets into trouble. And then I looked it up today. That how koivis with Rebbe. There's a story that we learned that whoever was at Rebbe's Ptira went straight to Olam Haba, Yotza Baskol. Besides Ahu Koivis Nebuch, he missed the boat. He wasn't there that day. So he jumped off the roof and he killed himself. I don't know if it's the same guy, but the Gemara uses the same lashon. Ahu Koivis. Shadua Koivis. So they took everything. The whole city of Tveria just went on this one laundry. You have to pay for the whole crown. Or Koivis, he ran away. Poka Kalila. So the king said, you know what? Tveria doesn't have to put up the crown. Omer Rebbe. All the bad stuff happens because of the Amaris. They're gone. I don't have to pay anything. So the Mishnah says, how long do you have to be in the city to be like a person in the city? 12 months. So we have this concept called irani dachas. Here's the psukim. Let's do avodah zarah. So this is very important. These words, Yoshevir, the people that are living in the city. Lefi cherev. So how do you kill them? With a sword. Remember, with a sword, not skila, with a sword. And then the last pasuk, Yudzai was kol shalal tikboy zatoich rechoyv v'sraftu beishes so'ir v'es kol shalal kolit. You take everything and you destroy, you burn. You can't take the loot. You have to burn the loot. Says the Gemara Veramini, Yachameres v'agamelas, people coming into the city. This year, anidachas, on donkeys and on camels. They go from place to place. They came to the city and they were convinced to do avodah zarah. They don't get the sword; they get skila. You take the money, you save it, you give it to the yarshim. But if they were in the city for 30 days, then they become like the city people. So what do you see from here? 30 days and not 12 months. It's a kasha. You can make a distinction between citizens and people that dwell there. It says in the pasuk here. So I point out the pasuk here. It says Yoish ve'yoyer. You see, Yoish ve'yoyer. How do you get to there? Okay, you get the idea. Yoish ve'yoyer means people are just sitting there. They're not actual citizens. If you make a neder, you're not going to benefit from anybody from the city, and somebody just moved into the city. Are you allowed to benefit from him? Well, if you lived there for 12 months, then you're not allowed to benefit from him. Anything less than 12 months, so that lines up with our Mishnah. But if you use the Lashon, then it's 30 days. And when it comes to the Dachas, it says Yoishve. So it's 30 days. Don't bring a raya from there. What? For everything else you need 12? 12 months. So Rabbi Yisrael Meir, come here for a second. Because if we're saying, we've got to go quick. There's something called a kupa, that people are obligated to give tzedakah to the kupa here. Come, get kuma here. I figured we have somebody from our shir, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Simon, who has a regular job. He does marketing. I don't know what he does exactly, but he puts his life and his neshama into the kupat here. And our kupat here, Amud Aleph, many cities around the world have. We have the number one. They do unbelievable stuff in many ways. So I figured he's not raising money. He's just telling us what a kupa is. Kederach MDY. Tell us our regular achas. Yeah, Tamchoy I'm going to talk about in a second. I'm jumping to kupa first. Zog. Here, take this, put this on here. You could go. You could start. I'll just put it on you.
So it's really amazing how we have such a beautiful community and such a beautiful chesed and such beautiful everybody together in a kupa shel tzedakah that we can see here from the Gemara. That we're going to learn here in a few dapim how from the days of the Gemara of kupa shel tzedakah until today, and how could it be in such a community? People come on a weekly basis from all over the country to learn how could it be in such a community, raising so much money, giving out so much money, helping so much Yidden. And how can it be that Purim, for months you think how the family needs the best it needs, and could raise millions in shekels, and then a month later in Pesach comes again. It seems the rest of the families that are not evyonim, and they're anim, and they need this, and they need that, and every project and everything. And how can it be that here that we started a few years ago for chasanas, and then a whole project of chasanas and helping chasanas, and then aleinu people in iftar, you have a keren chai, and every case and everything that's needed, you're here, and such a beautiful thing to make it happen. And I think the yesod that we see here in a few dapim is basically the nekuda that what's going on. On one hand, we just learned now that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, even kekelev, even oirev, Kadosh Baruch Hu kol yachol, every person, every animal, everything has its parnasa. So also here, we can each one take care of themselves. Each one's going to work. Each one doing himself. Whoever has. Whoever doesn't have. And a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's what it needs. So, what's our tafkid in this part? And that's what that's shown up in Asker of Akiva and Daf Yod. And basically, the side is to the Zakar says latzil lanu medina shel Gehenna. So we understand, we get this nekuda that everything that's going on, Kadosh Baruch Hu will do anything. So one hand we could say, okay, Kadosh Baruch Hu will take care of anything. What's my part? But if the part is the mizakas, if the part is that what I could do better. It's for myself. It's for Latzileinu, to give us the schus. So we want to do the best we could of it, and to get into it, and to see every family, and to see if it would be myself what I would do the best for it, and every case and everything, to go deep and to see what I could do the best into it, and together with everybody, it's a beautiful thing. And
what's that nice that you said about the guy from we our shul is behind there, and he was with us in the shul, and nu say the Maisa that
the Maisa. Oizer Dalim on Erev and Simchas Torah. We usually sell the aliyahs for Bnei Yeshivas, and we always take the Oizer Dalim to help a family and to take a case that's in tremendous need, and together with the community and the kupa and everything to try to do something substantial. So here, raising money for Mamish and another Gzeira that it happened that has the Machlal Aleinu and marrying off the kid, and Mamish needs to raising 30,000-40,000 shekels to here to help him out. And then hear that after raising that money, the guy himself, with all the tzaras he's going, he's giving a meiser from that money. So it starts a whole thing in the keel. What's going on? We're giving him money and he's taking meiser out of it. So he came and said, listen, me myself, I'm going through such tzaras. I'm going through such I have the machlal aleinu. I don't know if I'm going to live, I'm going to die. I also want to be I also want to tzedakah tatzil mimaves. I could take the meiser and give myself, and that way to live. So that's what happened. That's what he gave, and Baruch Hashem is still with us today, and have the schus himself to give. So mamash to take this nekuda, and that we should always be zeicha to be from the nice name and from the giving people.
Amen. Shkoyach gadol. There's a lot of people in the neighborhood that the mamash they it's all voluntary. Even my chavrus is mevayish himself. He comes here once a week on Fridays and he collects. It's unbelievable what they do. It's crazy stuff. Okay, so. Now we're also talking about, the Gemara is saying that it takes, where are we? I forgot. But we cannot collect from somebody in a city until he lives there for 3 months. 30 days for the tamchui. So I called up Avi Kamiansky yesterday because I remember him telling me about the tamchui. He told me some crazy stuff. What's the name of this tamchui? Lina Chesed. I want to ask you a question. If you have a tamchui, you have a soup kitchen, and women are embarrassed to come in there to eat. They don't want to eat in public. So what would you do to give them food? The guy came up with a great idea. I'm serious. A guy thinking out of the box how to do chesed. How to do chesed, not how to make money, how to do chesed. He gives these women a card, and he has vending machines all over Eretz Yisrael, and they swipe the card and they get a sandwich. So people shouldn't starve. In his soup kitchen, he brings in all the time regular people, a rashiva, this or that, so that the aniyim don't feel embarrassed. There's gvirim that eat there. There's regular people that eat there. He's makbid on getting grade A fruits and vegetables. It shouldn't be an apple with a brown thing. A beautiful apple. Everything is this. What else? You telling me?
He sends out money to aniyim all the time, 10,000 shekel for people who do.
Oh, anybody that you saw him that get married, 10,000 shekel.
He's giving out for Pesach and all the time.
The kids are just chesed. When he was 19 years old, he saw a person that was starving, and he said, "This can't be. How could a person in our generation be hungry?" And then since he's 19, how old is he? He's probably in his 50s. He's been doing this for over 30 years. Unbelievable. Anyways, these people do a lot of chesed there. A person has to live there for 6 months in order to ask him for money for clothing for the poor. 9 months to bury the dead. So we have a problem here. You're telling me it's 12 months. Here you see 30 days, 6 months. It's less than 12 months. When the mission talks about 12 months, for the wood that you need for the doors, that's 12 months. You could ask everybody for the wood necessary or the material necessary to secure the city. Even from Yisrael. Once again, the Rabbanan don't need to be watched. Omer Papa, the Shura. Give Aldik a picture here. To fix the wall of the city. Well, a parasha. Parasha means the security guards that go on horses. Here we go. Shomrim. Ula Turzina. Turzina is the guy watching the weapons. The armory. He has some arrows, he has some RPGs, grenades. the part of the issue, the issue was HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the issue, but they say that there was a lot of weapons in these moshavim, but it was all locked up and nobody could get to it. So if you put a human being there watching it, it could be easier, I guess. I don't know. So Yisraelim have to pay for weapons, they have to pay for the shomrim. Rabbanan don't need it. If you benefit from it, but the Rabbanan don't benefit from it, they don't have to pay. Rabbi Roman Tzedakah Yasmin the Marmarion was very wealthy and he took a lot of money from the Yisraelim. You're not supposed to take money from the Yisraelim, even for Pidyon Shvuyim. I did it to make them feel important. Look, they donated this building, they gave this money. It wasn't for the poor, it's more for them. Let me ask you something. If you have money, what's the greatest mitzvah you could do with your money? Greatest mitzvah you could do with your money? That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Pidyon Shvuyim, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. What else? Oh! He says it's the same thing. I say MDY, giving for Torah. You could sell a sefer Torah to learn Torah and to marry off somebody for achnas kala. And Taisa says, if you turn over here, Taisa says these are the two things, and certainly Pidyon Shvuyim. So I want to taina the giving to MDY is actually 2 out of the 3. You're giving for Torah, but you're paid the nefashos. You're making a bechayr, you're freeing his soul. Okay. But we're not collecting money for another half a year, so we'll talk to you then. Ifra Hurmuz. The mother of Shalom, her name was Hurmuz. You know where else you find Hurmuz? Where else do you find it in the news? Hurmuz. Here. This was named after her, L'chaira. Strait of Hurmuz. By Iran over there. She was from Iran. He's the king of Persia. She sent a lot of money to Rav Yosef. Please do the greatest mitzvah with it. Yosef Rav Yosef said, what can I do? What's the greatest mitzvah? My mitzvah Rav Shmuel Yehuda. We just learned. You shouldn't take tzedakah from Yisraelim, even to redeem the hostages. Shema Mino, Pidyon Shvuyim mitzvah. That's the greatest thing you can do with your money. It says Taisves. You also have Torah and Lisa Isha, but Pidyon Shvuyim is obvious. How do you know it's such a great thing? Oh, I have to say this. Turning of the page is sponsored. Turning of the daf is sponsored by LifeShare, the first crowdfunding community where families are protected before trying. I'll be like Biden. If Eli can add, learn more at LifeShare.community. No, today they sent him the thing. He was reading from the teleprompter. They wanted to show how good he is, how well he can read. So he goes, whatever the word was, and he says, read it twice. Combine. Read it twice. So they said the right. Combine. Okay. How do we know that Pidyon Shvuyim is a great mitzvah? This is what Hashem said. The person that has to die. Whoever has to be killed by a sword, by sword. Famine. Whoever has to be captured, the one, the latest in the pasuk is the worst. What's the last one in the pasuk? To be in captivity. How do we know that the sword is worse than dying in a bed? I have a pasuk. It's just simple logic. His head is knocked off. There's a big pool of blood. It's terrible. Hashem loves or is mechabed the death. His chasidim, death means in a bed without any, not a terrible death with a sword. Rav kasha, and famine is worse than micharev. We learned in Sanhedrin that with the sword it's very quick, but famine takes days to die. Better the death of sword than the death of famine. Shvi kashem and kulon, the kulu isnu bohu. Unfortunately, it's in Yonah the Yoima Mamish. We have 120 shvuyim hostages. they have it the worst because we know from the ones that were rescued or released, they are starved, they are beat, and many of them are dead. So you have all of it together. When you collect money for tzedakah, you need 2 people to collect, and you give it out in 3. The Gemara is going to explain what that means. You don't do a srara without less than 2 people because you can take his stuff from him and give it to tzedakah, so you need at least 2 people. Why 3? Just like when it comes to monetary things, a bezin is 3. So we have to decide how many people, how much this person needs, how much this person needs, 3. And I asked Rabbi Yisrael Meir, he said that's how they do it with the Kupa Shel Tzedakah over here. What is it called? Kupa Shel Tzedakah. They also have 3 people that make decisions together. The food, you collect with 3, you give it out with 3. It's the same. To give out food, people need to eat every day, so you give it out every day. Kupa Shel Erev Shabbos, Erev Shabbos, but the Kupa Shel Tzedakah is once a week. People that come from other countries, other cities, they also need to eat, so you give it to everybody. Kupa, but the money, l'aniyah, each city individually, only from people from the city. The people, Yisrael Meir and his friends, they could decide, okay, now we're going to take all the money, give it for food. Now we're going to take all the money, give it for a chasana. And to change it to anything they want. The people in charge of the city, they could decide the measurements and the different prices of food and stuff. How much you pay the workers. And also to punish those who break the rules. One more minute. Not less than 2 people. They, 2 people, they should take the gold from the nation. But they are believed. What? Even 1. Rebbe himself appointed Shnei Achim, 2 brothers. We know 2 brothers are Pasal Eidos, etc. Ala Kupa. They were in charge of the Kupa. So they're considered 1, but they have Ne'emanos. Maisarus, so what have? Why is it considered Sarus? You could take from people, even on Erev Shabbos, when people say, oh, I don't have time, I'm cooking, you take from them. I'll get back at those who put pressure on Klal Yisroel. You see, they shouldn't put pressure. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take revenge on those who put pressure. If a person is wealthy, you can put pressure on him. But if you go to a poor person and you put pressure on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, will take revenge. He was wealthy. He took it from him 400 zuz. The tzedakah, so you see, from a wealthy person, you could pressure and take a lot of money. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.